Let's talk a little bit about control your thinking. Here's where you can really get going or get in trouble. The way you think. A man's handshake is the product of the way he thinks. A man's conversation is the product of the way he thinks. The way a man talks is the way he thinks. He talks like he thinks. That's what he wears. That's what he drives. That's where he lives. That's what he earns. That's the size of his bank account. A man's life is a product of the way he thinks. The quality of a man's conversation is a product of whatever gets into his brain. Whatever flows into his brain, out comes the product. And the fabric of a man's life is built from those ingredients that pours into his mental factory. So see, that's what you learn to do. First, shut off the negative. Start substituting the negative for the positive. You know, throw out the trash. You cannot build a dynamic, successful, prosperous, happy, achieving life with trash ingredients. Start making a deliberate attempt to talk about the good things. Listen to the good things. Read the good things. The challenges. The opportunities. Problem solving. Spend as little time as possible on the problem, most of the time on the solution. Now, I'm not saying that you can get 100% positive and 0 negative. That just can't be done. But the better ratio you get here of much more positive and as little negative as possible, that's what starts to change the fabric of your economic, social, and personal life. If you keep this positive flow coming in here, some ingredients out of this positive flow can make absolute major changes in your life. Right? That's why you keep this positive flow coming in. There are some ideas that can do absolute wonders with your bank account and your future if you keep the flow coming in. Okay? Now, some ideas will help you a little, but some ideas, some ingredients are so powerful they can revolutionize your life and your bank account, make you wealthy in more ways than one. So that's why you keep mining this positive flow of ingredients. And it's the same reason why you also shut off the negative ingredients. There are some negative ingredients that'll just kind of keep you poor. Some will just kind of make you limp financially. Some will just kind of, keep you rocking along. And there are some ingredients in this negative box here that will kill you. They'll kill your ambition, kill your desire, kill your strong feeling, kill your compassion, kill you in a very short period of time. Those ingredients are so powerful. You have got to watch like a hawk what gets poured in here. Now let's talk for a little while about a very important subject, and that is personal growth. And I want to give you a phrase that I think is vitally important. Jot this one down. This is really how it gets better. This is really how your adventure and achievement can begin when you understand this. The major key to your better future is you. The magic is not in the corporation. The magic is not in the marketing plan. The magic is in you. The magic is inside. The magic is in a handshake. The magic is in a smile. The magic is in determination. The magic is in excitement. The magic is in compassion, caring, sharing. The magic is in strong feeling. See, that's what starts to make all the difference. That's what starts to change everything. Let me tell you this about your future getting better. Guy says, well, gosh, I hope things will get better. I'll tell you what, he'll always be poor. Because, see, it isn't going to get better. I used to always hope things would change, right? I kept hoping the next election, gosh, things will surely change then, right? Things will change. Something will change. Something will be better. But I found out, finally, that is not true. It is not going to get better. It isn't going to change. Let me tell you how it's going to be. Are you ready? It's going to be about like it's always been. That's about how it's going to be. About like it's always been. Wet every spring, hot every summer, cold every winter. Sometimes the wind will blow, and sometimes it'll be still. Sometimes people will delight you, sometimes they will disgust you. See, it's going to be about like it's always been. But for your future to get better, you got to change. You've got to grow. You've got to get better. You know how long it takes to turn your life around, completely around? One day. And there are three major ingredients in that day. Number one is disgust. Disgust with poverty.
He's finally had it with those awful sick feelings inside, knowing his wife is at the grocery store looking at 2 cans of beans, one marked 37 cents, one marked 39 cents. And the guy sick inside knows his wife's going to buy the 37-cent can, and she doesn't even like the brand. Do you know why she's going to buy the 37-cent can? To save 2 cents. The guy sick inside finally says, I've had it. Being on my knees in the dust looking for pennies, we're not living like this anymore.
With that kind of niggling, with walking around on your financial knees, with eating that kind of dust of poverty, I have had it. Here's the second ingredient, decision. There's nothing that can turn your life around like a strong decision. Sometimes you've got to take a decision, and especially if you want to get on with change, you have got to learn to make quicker decisions. Let me tell you what indecision is. Indecision is one of the greatest thieves of opportunity. Indecision will steal you blind. Indecision will rob your bank account. After a while, it can become a disease. Indecision can become a disease. And pretty soon the guy knows he's got the disease. He says, well, I know I'm on the fence. But he says, what if I get off on the wrong side? Listen, here's the tragedy with sitting on the fence. While you sit on the fence, the clock keeps ticking. And see, a man's life is used up at the tick of the clock. See, a man's life is the most precious thing he really has. I was talking to a guy on the phone the other day, and I said, what are you doing right now? And he said, just killing time. I said, oh, no. Don't do that. Guy's only got a little, and he's killing part of it. You know, that's incredible. Don't do that. Make the minutes count. Make the hours count. That's why you should learn to make decisions as quickly as possible. See, after a while, just get off the fence. It doesn't really matter what side. Just get off. Right? Because remember, a life full of adventure in achievement is a life full of many decisions. The ones that turn out to be wrong give you better experience to make better decisions. So remember, don't see how many decisions you can get out of. See how many you can get into. Learn to speed up the decision-making process. It will add years to your life.
In one study, 2 groups of managers were tested for their decision-making ability. One of the groups was on the fast track. They were enjoying rapid promotion and regular increases in pay. They were seen to be very decisive and were always willing to accept responsibility for results. The second group was made up of managers who had been passed over for promotion because they seemed to be unable to make decisions in their areas of responsibility. They tested both groups of managers in a classroom setting for the accuracy of their decision-making. They gave them a series of simulated problem situations and tested them on what decisions they would make. Interestingly enough, both the effective and ineffective managers turned out to be equally accurate in their answers to the questions on this classroom test. In other words, their decision-making abilities were the same. The difference between the groups was simply that at work, the effective managers were willing to take the risk of making the decisions, whereas the ineffective managers, equally accurate in their choices, avoided decision-making for fear of making a mistake. Now here are some important ideas that will help you to make more right decisions in your life and in your career. The first questions that you have to ask in decision-making are these 3. First, what are you trying to achieve with the decision? Second, what are you trying to avoid? Third, what are you trying to preserve? Every decision is aimed at achieving, avoiding, or preserving something. These are called decision criteria or boundary conditions. The very best decision makers are those who clearly identify these criteria and make them measurable before they move to the final decision-making phase.
So the first ingredient is discussed. The second ingredient is decision. The third is action. In the final analysis, you've got to act. You can go through all the other things, but in the final analysis, to move off dead center, to change direction, you've got to act.
Many years ago at a talk, I was speaking to Rich DeVos, the president of Amway. We're $5.3 billion today. He started off knocking on doors selling soap. And I asked him, I said, what have you found? What's the most important quality of successful people? And he said, Brian, he said, we found there's a direct relationship, I still remember him telling me this, between how quickly a person takes action on a new idea and how likely it is they'll ever take action on any idea at all. And so the action orientation is the critical thing. We watch people, everybody hears the same things, they hear the same ideas, but then we watch and we see how quickly they take action. And if a person takes action quickly on a new idea, the chances are they're going to be successful go up by hundreds of %. Now what most people do is they say, that's a great idea, it's a wonderful idea, I'm going to do that, ooh, I'm so excited. But before I apply it, I need to take a vacation to a wonderful place called Someday Isle. And so they go to Someday Isle, and they live on Someday Isle. And who are they surrounded with on Someday Isle? Other people on Someday Isle. And what is the chief topic of conversation on Someday Isle? Yes, it's their excuses. What's your excuse for not taking action? What's your excuse for not losing weight, getting out of debt, building your business, writing your book, getting your book finished, getting your damn book started? You know, and the bottom 80% of the population lives on Someday Isle most of their lives. And I'm going to do that someday, someday Isle. So rule number one for success, no more Someday Isle. Either do it or don't do it.
Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. You'll become a fool. Let your learning lead to action. You can get rich.
Jim Rohn then talked about several simple fundamental laws.
The first one, the law of use.
And it goes something like this. Whatever you don't use, you lose. Lack of use causes loss. If you tie your arm to your body, leave it there long enough, you'll never use it again. It's over for the arm. Now, it may not be over, but it's over for the arm. The only way to keep the use of this arm is what? Keep using it. If you quit, you lose automatically. Now, the same thing that goes for your arm goes for your brain, mentality. The same thing goes for all the human virtues. Ambition, unused, declines. Strong feelings, unused, diminish. It doesn't grow, it diminishes. Faith, unused, decreases. It's a law. Vitality unused diminishes. Energy unused decreases. The guy says, well, I'm going to save up my energy. You can't do that. That's like trying to save today, put it on the end of the year. See, you can't do that. They'll come take you away. If you don't use today, what? It's lost. The guy says, well, I'll work twice as hard tomorrow to make up for it. See, that's foolish. You could have done that anyway. Today unused is lost. A talent unused is lost. An ability unused is lost. So here's one of the key expressions of the evening. Take a new inventory of yourself. Starting tomorrow, new project. Take a new inventory. And make sure that all of your talent and ability and mentality and ingenuity and vitality and strong feelings, faith, courage, make sure that all you've got's being used. Otherwise, you lose. Whatever you do not employ, you forfeit. It's a law.
Here's the second law, the law of averages. Here's what the law of averages means. If you do something often enough, if you do something over and over and over, you will get what we call a ratio of results. A ratio. Here is the key to understand about the law of averages. The law of averages will work for anybody who wants to try it.
It's very simple. It's like life is a great game of darts, okay? Now, if you only throw one dart at the board, Your chances of hitting a bullseye are very, very small. But if you throw dart after dart after dart after dart after dart at the board, what must you eventually do? First of all, even if you're an idiot, you'll eventually hit the board. And if you keep throwing darts, and you keep throwing darts one after another, even if you're an idiot, you will sooner or later hit a bullseye. Isn't that true? So you look at successful people, and one of the things we find about successful people is that they're just average people who try more things. They just try more things. They're more active. Now, here's an interesting thing. If you throw darts, how many times will you miss the bullseye? Most of the time. Most of the things you try won't work. In other words, if you throw lots of darts, you're going to miss most of the time. But you don't focus on the misses. As a matter of fact, here's a rule. If you could throw 10 darts and be absolutely guaranteed that 9 would fail, try 9 different things in life. 90% would fail completely, but 1 would be a big hit. If you could be guaranteed of a 90% failure rate with a 1% success rate, what would that mean? It means you'd be one of the most successful people alive. Isn't that true? Because then all you have to do is say, whoa, let's start, whoa, 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 whoa. Because, in other words, increase the probabilities. And then people say, boy, you're sure lucky. No, I'm not lucky. I just saw more people. I just tried more things.
The third law is the law of sowing and reaping. A guy can pretty well tell how things are going to work out if he plants with intelligence the 16 hours he's awake. Learn how to invest yourself. That's the key phrase. Learn how to invest you. Learn how to invest your handshake, your attitude, your personality. Learn how to invest your excitement. Learn how to invest your invitation. Learn how to invest your compassion, caring. Learn how to invest your strong feeling. Learn how to invest your time wisely. 16 hours, invest wisely every 16 hours. See, that's how you get the better harvest coming in. Now, if you want to become wealthy, here's the key word to wealth: people. Invest in other people. The master teacher said 2,000 years ago, if a man wishes to be great at anything, let him find a way to become a servant of many people. See, people's where the wealth is. Helping other people's where the wealth is. The guy says, well, I can't be responsible for half the community. About the best I can do is take care of myself. Look after myself. Work hard. Pay my bills. Not be a burden on anybody. Take care of myself. That's about the best I can do. That's a poor man talking. Always will be poor. And his life will not be much of an adventure and achievement. Now let's talk for a little while about a very important subject. Probably one of the most important. And that is setting goals. And the reason is because a man's life is not going to be much of an adventure and achievement unless he picks a direction. Gets something to go for. It's not important to win every time. The best baseball players in the history of baseball, their names are in the Hall of Fame. The superstar champions bat 400. Do you know what 400 means as a lifetime batting average? The superstars? That means that during their career, they'd go to bat 10 times, go to the plate 10 times, up to bat. And 6 times out of every 10, out. Back to the bench, out. The champion's out. Get him out. He's out. Back to the bench, out. Out. Get him out. Right, he's out. But let me tell you what about a champion. He might be out, but he's not through. See, you don't have to win every time, but you've got to go up to bat every time. Babe Ruth used to strike out. And on his way back to the bench, he'd have a big grin on his face. And they used to say, Babe, how can you, this big grin on your face? You just struck out. And Babe used to say, I'm that much closer to my next home run. See, that's important. It's not important to win every time, but it's important to play every time. In fact, it's not important to get everything you want, but you have to want everything you get. Set it up and go for it.